Discover the incredible journey from living in my car to being saved by a millionaire client's attention. Sarah took a deep breath as she adjusted the rearview mirror of her car, the faint glow of Los Angeles streetlights playing across her face. She could hear the muffled giggles of her children, Jason and Lily, nestled in the back seat. They were her world, even as they were wrapped in the suffocating shadows of their makeshift home. Once upon a time she started, weaving tales of enchanted forests and brave knights, forcing hope into her words. Yet, beneath her voice lay an unshakable sense of drowning. Every dreamy scenario typed on her mind's keyboard clashed with the reality of the cold, hard asphalt beyond the window. Days turned to nights, mingling the struggles of odd jobs, handing out flyers in the sun or sketching hurried portraits beneath sighing trees, each moment a reminder of fleeting stability. Last week it had been just enough to cover the gas, but now? Panic clawed at her throat as she mentally counted the dwindling coins. What if the kids needed something more than just stories? What if the world outside this car swallowed their laughter? Her heart raced when she caught the gaze of Jack, a man who was seemingly just another passerby with a briefcase and an air of confidence that dripped like honey. Yet he paused, actually observing her for what felt like an eternity, taking in a glimpse of the artist in her eyes. It was strange, this attention. Was she to be seen, or merely further evaluated? "Don't get your hopes up, Sarah," she whispered inwardly, tugging the stray hairs behind her ears as insecurities prickled her skin. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As Jack approached, Sarah's throat tightened. "What do you want?" she thought, feeling the weight of her despair press into her chest. He introduced himself, and in that moment, she felt a flicker of something, a glimmer of possibility that seemed to resonate. Here was a chance to reclaim the graphic design career she loved. His offer of mentorship could pull her from this dark pit. But hope was a double-edged sword. Each day she spent learning, creating, and losing herself in art also meant leaving behind the safety net of survival she had woven with her sacrifices. Trust was an ever-present specter, lurking in every shadow. Each word exchanged with Jack ignited fear. If she allowed this man to weave himself into her life, what could the fallout be? Would he turn out to be just another disappointment when money comes between them? The tension gripped her. She ached to escape, but to move forward was to risk everything. Everything they had fought for. Just as insistent doubts flooded her thoughts, a familiar figure from her past loomed in her mind, reminding her of fragile promises and shattered dreams. She stood on the precipice, the depths of her choices swirling below her. Would she play it safe for her kids, or dare to step into a future she barely knew? With him? With every heartbeat, the promise of a different life shimmered just out of reach, leaving Sarah hanging in a delicate balance that threatened to unravel at any moment. Sarah's mind was a storm of thoughts as she gazed out into the shimmering urban sprawl of Los Angeles. Jack's presence loomed larger than life, a beacon amidst the haze of her struggles. Every syllable he spoke seemed to form a bridge over the chasm of uncertainty that separated her current existence from the potential of a new life, one where artistic expression wasn't relegated to stolen moments between responsibilities. His invitation to mentor her flashed like bright neon in her mind, illuminating memories of long-lost dreams that now felt so distant. She had once been so passionate, designing for clients who saw her creativity as a fountain never ending and always flowing. But life had thrust her into survival mode, and her craft had mixed with desperation, diminishing its allure. Yet here was Jack, offering her a chance to reignite that passion, to carve a path from suffering to success. What if this is the break I need? She pondered. Yet the risk of accepting his help tangled itself within her reality. What if this was yet another fleeting chance that vanished into thin air, leaving her more vulnerable to the whims of fate? Each idea became a thread in the web of her internal conflict. They made promises before, she reminded herself sharply. Why would this be different? With every passing second, panic crept back, throttling the hope that had briefly slipped its way in. Memories of broken trust and prior failure surged forth, each one a jagged piece of glass she navigate with caution. She thought about her children's laughter mingling with her own dreams, and the heartbreaking conflict that rose each time she entertained the idea of pursuing this opportunity. She turned to Jack, whose expression remained earnest and patient. "Are you sure about this? Do you know what you're getting into?" Her voice trembled, revealing her disquiet. "I see something in you, Sarah. You have talent, a spark," he replied, his eyes steady and unwavering, as if he could see through the wreckage and uncertainty that clouded her vision. "Success comes to those who dare. Let me help you reawaken that artist inside you." Those words hung in the air, heavy with promise and combustive energy. Participating in his mentorship meant stepping out of the suffocating safety she'd created for her family. Could she invest herself fully in a world that could leave her exposed? Battling with uncertainty teetered on the edge of recklessness, she questioned if her ground felt solid enough for such a leap. Fears bubbled alongside a burgeoning determination as she envisioned days spent creating again, working alongside Jack, harnessing not just the technical skills of her graphic design passion, but rebuilding her own self-worth. The thought of returning to passion ignited fire inside her. Introspection clawed for dominance. Could she balance the scales between responsibility and rebirth? The thought of her children witnessing a regeneration in their mom sparked an ember in her heart. "I'll do it," she finally said, her voice a shaky affirmation, echoing through the stillness of the car. "I'll take the plunge." Jack smiled, a look of genuine understanding etched across his features. "Let us ignite that passion together." Just as relief began to wash over her, she felt the familiar grip of trepidation seize her heart again. What other truths lay dormant within her? What other sacrifices might she have to make? The shadows of her past echoed, warning her of the hidden costs of chasing after dreams. As hope flickered, it bore the weight of a jagged edge. She was preparing to cross into a realm where success was elusive and each step forward could unravel a new set of burdens. Thus, standing on the precipice of change, Sarah wondered, what lies ahead, and would she be strong enough to confront the demons from her past while embracing the potential of her future? As uncertainty loomed larger, her fingers tightened around the fabric of her decision, questioning, would she emerge victorious, or would this leap only send her falling deeper into the abyss? The morning sun slipped through her window like a hesitant friend. Sarah blinked away the remnants of sleep, anxiety coiling tighter as reality washed over her. Her decision from the night before, though empowering, felt perilously fragile in the cold light of day. She sat up, her heart racing with conflicting emotions that churned like the ocean in a storm. What if she failed? A dark whisper in her mind clawed for dominance, reminding her of past failures, relationships that had frayed, and dreams left unfulfilled. It was all too easy to retreat into the safe folds of her old life, where the risks were less daunting. But that was precisely what her past had demanded of her, complacency masked as responsibility. Today was different. Today would be the beginning of her battle against that trepidation. With the clink of her coffee cup, she was jolted into action. She couldn't afford to linger. Actions held power. She pulled out her laptop. The worn keys under her fingers felt comforting yet instantly daunting. It was a portal to opportunity, but also a reminder of the nights spent working tirelessly on projects that rarely saw the light of day or received the applause they deserved. Jack's confidence in her nagged at her insecurities, yet it nudged her towards motivation. What had he seen that she had missed? What capabilities lurked beneath her self-doubt? The thought fueled her fingers to dance over the keyboard. She began drafting a portfolio, scouring through past works that reflected her talent, yet she felt intertwined with shadows of inadequacy. Every design she reviewed summoned a wave of nostalgia. Memories flooded back. The thrill of creation, the satisfaction of a client's smile, the buzz of a successful project. She felt the warmth of that passion begin to rekindle, but it was accompanied by the chill of societal expectations, reminding her of everything at stake: her children's future, her stability. Midway through, Jack's words echoed in her mind. She had a spark. She inhaled deeply and let go of her doubts. In that moment, she set to work refining a project that had long been tucked away. A brand identity for a local café. The urgency with which she worked stemmed from something deeper than mere obligation. It was a reclamation of herself. Each curve, each shade, each element came to life on the screen. It wasn't just a logo. It represented hope and challenge, resilience and ambition. Jack had mentioned versatility as an asset. Could she push her creativity into uncharted territories? She decided to add dimensions to her work, experimenting with styles that felt expansive yet aligned with her original vision. For the first time in years, excitement coursed through her veins. Inspiration surged as she conceptualized how different designs could resonate with an audience, crafting a narrative beyond simple aesthetics. Then, just as the thrill bubbled, a sharp buzz punctured her focus, her phone vibrating harshly on the table. Sarah's stomach dropped as she thought of the potential messages. Was it Jack? Or was it a reminder of the things she hadn't yet done? Hesitantly, she glanced down. It was a text from her mother, laced with concern. It struck a balance between a well-meaning nudge and a warning, urging her to reconsider her path and highlighting the risks involved. "You have responsibilities," Sarah read. Gripping the phone, she felt the weight of her past pressing down, tethering her to a version of herself that lived in fear. Forcing herself to breathe, she texted back with steely resolve. "I'm working on a project that matters. I need this." The back and forth tugged at her heart, but she knew this was a critical moment for reclaiming her narrative. Sarah could choose her own path, abandoning the chains of obligation that wrapped around her soul. As she shifted her focus back to the screen, she felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. Yet, amidst her budding confidence, uncertainty lurked like a shadow. Would this shift fracture her current foundations? Should she prepare to face potential fallout when those close to her didn't understand? As the clock ticked, a new wave of realization struck. Confronting the people in her life who held expectations would be just as challenging as overcoming her fears. They would be the first true test of her transformation. Eyes sharpened with skepticism, ready to interrogate her choices, she hesitated, contemplating the chasm between her old life and the one she yearned for. Should she protect her new ambitions in silence or showcase her evolution boldly, risking judgment? Determined to greet the challenges that awaited, Sarah pushed onward, fingers tapping swiftly across the keyboard. But as her confidence soared, an unexpected wave of doubt threatened to sweep her into the abyss once again. Would the world she longed to create accept her as she stepped boldly into that light? The moment had arrived to confront not just her fears, but the very people who mattered most. What unraveled from this could unleash a cascade of reactions. Some might support her, while others might seek to reel her back. Would she find the strength to stand firm against their voices, or would they coax her back into the shadows? Seeking clarity amidst the onslaught of emotions, Sarah took a step back from the screen. The project for the café had transformed her state of mind from passive to proactive, yet nagging questions surfaced relentlessly. Decisions loomed over her, each one a potential pivot point that could either tether her to safety or propel her into the unknown. She couldn't ignore the impending conversations with family and friends that lay in wait. Each voice in her life, soaked in good intentions and wrapped in love, would undoubtedly challenge her courage. Yet, how much longer could she defer her own dreams for the comfort of others? Thoughts cascaded. They weren't just worries about the future, they were tactical assessments of her current standing. She would need to frame her ambitions with clarity and assurance. But how could she articulate this transition, a venture pregnant with the possibility of failure or success? Undeniably, her new endeavor represented more than just a business opportunity. It was a testament to her self-worth. To solidify her resolve, she turned to her mantra: self-advocacy in the face of opposition. The idea of standing firm against skepticism, especially from those she loved, felt ripe with potential. Her mind flared with fire as she made a plan, tackling the conversation strategically, first with Jack, then with her mother, and finally with the broader circle of friends. It would provide her a narrative, anchoring her footing amidst the storm. She wrote down key points, each phrase carefully crafted to communicate her determination and articulate her reasons. "I am not just reinventing my career. I am reclaiming my identity," she asserted silently to herself. Each point served not only as a shield against their doubts but also as a reminder of the depth of her ambitions. Fueled by this newfound spirit, Sarah turned back to her work, the design on the screen reflecting her evolving mindset. As the logo for the café danced into existence, she intertwined elements that felt personal, the swirl of coffee representing warmth, and a balanced typography that exuded friendliness and professionalism. Perhaps her real life hadn't aligned perfectly with her artistic aspirations, but today, Each stroke was a manifestation of bravery and potential. The lines and colors spoke her truth, echoing the reality she wished to project. Still, a lingering question gnawed at her thoughts. Was she merely projecting a facade to mask her insecurities, or was this truly an unveiling of her potential? That uncertainty mingled with determination, forming a whirlwind of conflicting impulses as she worked into the evening. As night cascaded into her workspace, she received an unexpected call. It was Jack. His voice, confident and steady, broke through the chaos in her mind. "I've been thinking about your portfolio, and I'd love to discuss a few ideas, ones that could elevate your project further." His words brought clarity, sounding like the call of destiny. But deep down, another hesitation arose. What if he could see right through her facade? With determination, she agreed to meet him the next day, hoping to showcase her work while gauging his reactions. Although she recognized the discomfort this would invoke, she also felt an exhilarating anticipation. This discussion could be a pivot, not solely for her career but for the realization of who she longed to be, a brave artist carving out her identity. That night sleep eluded her. In the quiet hours, thoughts of the future looped through her mind like a reel. The café's design, her conversations with Jack, the looming discussions with her family, and the steady hum of uncertainty. But amidst these jumbled visions, she honed in on the essential truth. She was ready to emerge, chisel in hand, ready to sculpt her life anew. She took a deep breath, filled with both trepidation and exhilaration. Tomorrow, she would navigate new territory, and the outcome could either skyrocket her journey upward or compel her to reassess her foundations. On the precipice of transformation, one looming challenge eclipsed her overview. The fabric of her truth felt delicate at that moment. Would Jack's insights reinforce her ambitions, or would they shatter her carefully cultivated vision? The anticipation threatened to swallow her whole. Sarah knew the time had come to face judgments head-on, crafting her narrative as she ventured forth into the unknown. And perhaps, in paving this journey, she might finally confront the very source of her fears. The day ahead might be a crossroads, hiding behind the truth of her potential or stepping boldly into the light. As she prepared for tomorrow's encounter, one overwhelming thought surged through her. The moment to confront everything she feared was upon her. Would she emerge unscathed, or would this push toward fulfillment dismantle the changes she had so carefully begun to forge? As sunlight spilled through her window, Sarah awoke to a sense of urgency and clarity that pushed the night's uncertainty to the back of her mind. Today was not just any day. It was a pivotal moment, a chance to present her vision with the certainty she had been forging in her heart. She moved through the morning rituals with a newfound intensity, deliberately selecting her outfit, a blend of casual comfort and polished professionalism. Each article of clothing was a piece of armor against the doubts that had plagued her for so long. When had she become so conscious of what she wore? The answer didn't matter now. It was her time to take a stand and reflect the solidity she sought. Arriving early at the café where she was to meet Jack, Sarah took a moment to breathe. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped her like a hug, and for a fleeting second, she imagined the bustling café filled with laughter and warmth, a vision waiting to be realized. But would her dreams translate into reality? Would Jack understand the magnitude of her passion? As she settled into a corner table, her heart raced. Her thoughts darted between rehearsed points and spontaneous ideas, battling for prominence in her mind. When Jack finally entered, carrying a folder and a contagious enthusiasm, her resolve flickered momentarily. Did he even know the emotional weight she carried day in and day out? "Sarah, you won't believe the ideas I've come up with," he exclaimed, his energy filling the space. Rather than reflecting her insecurities, his approach sparked a flicker of determination within her. She remembered her mantra: self-advocacy in the face of opposition. "Thanks, Jack. I'm excited to hear them, but I also want to share my vision first," she replied, forcing herself to embrace the vigor in her voice. With hands somewhat shaky, she unveiled her portfolio, her artistic heart laid bare before him. As Jack flipped through the pages, his expression shifted from curiosity to admiration. "This is impressive work, Sarah. You've captured a sense of warmth and community, just what a cafe needs." Encouraged by his words, she took a deep breath and began to articulate her mission. "The cafe is not just a business for me. It's an embodiment of my journey and passions. I want a space where everyone feels welcome and connected." Her voice smoothened with each word, a layer of fear peeling back to reveal her authentic self. Here, amidst the critique and feedback, lay her opportunities for growth, as Jack responded. Blending his ideas with hers, she felt her confidence solidify. They discussed the design elements, marketing strategies, and operational viability. Jack's creative input broadened her perspective. His suggestions were illuminating, not intimidating. Somewhere during the conversation, she realized she was no longer just defending herself. She was engaging in a collaboration buoyed by mutual respect and shared aspirations. But as they wrapped up, a thought crashed into her newfound zeal. What if I fail? Echoed in the recesses of her mind. Yet another voice whispered back, what if you fly? Those two options, starkly contrasting, fed into the power dynamic of her ambitions. With time slipping away, Sarah understood this was a turning point. If she faltered now, she risked not only her project but her identity. Jack, I'm ready for feedback. Tell me what you think I need to improve, she urged, heart pounding. His piercing gaze held hers. Honestly, I think your vision is strong, but you need to believe in its worth. Embrace the vulnerability of sharing it. There it was, the challenge she hadn't anticipated. Believing in herself, truly recognizing her worth, felt like both the simplest and the most complex battle she had yet to face. Would she be able to turn her aspirations into concrete action, reinforcing her identity in the process? As they ended the meeting, Jack's compliments still fresh in her mind, Sarah couldn't shake off the realization that the real journey lay not in the café's visual identity, but in her own acceptance of what she aspired to be. Leaving the café, she felt lighter yet burdened by a new understanding of her professional self. Tomorrow would need to be an expedition into confronting family expectations, but for today, she had taken a step, however small, into the realm of self-belief. Would she have the strength to maintain this clarity when confronted with those closest to her? The very thought sent a shiver down her spine, leaving her breathless as she stared into the horizon of her evolving life. The following day loomed with heavy anticipation, each moment stretching painfully as Sarah prepared to confront her family's expectations. As she navigated the familiar streets that led to her childhood home, old fears began to creep back in. Memories of past conversations, sharp critiques, and concerned glances echoed in her mind, casting doubts over her burgeoning confidence. What would they say when she unveiled her dream? Would they still view her as the ambitious girl who dreamt too big? Arriving at her parents' house, she was struck by a wave of nostalgia as she stepped inside. The scent of her mother's cooking filled the kitchen, enveloping her in a sense of comfort. But as the warm greetings from her family washed over her, so did a chilling reminder of the weighty expectations that came with it. Her father's pride in her academic accomplishments had always been overshadowed by his unease about her career choices. As dinner commenced, the atmosphere seemed benign, yet Sarah felt a storm brewing beneath the surface. Conversation flowed effortlessly around her, but her mind was occupied with the simmering anxiety of disclosure. When the topic of work arose, her stomach tensed. So, how is the job hunt going? Her father inquired casually, his tone light but his eyes reflecting a deeper scrutiny. It's been interesting, she responded, her voice faltering slightly. Interesting. I hope that's not code for struggling, her mother chimed in, a hint of concern weaving through her words. Unable to tamp down the rising tide of emotions, Sarah squared her shoulders. She realized that hiding behind vague responses would only deepen the divide between her aspirations and their expectations. Actually, I'm working on a project, she said, her voice stronger now. I have a vision for a cafe, a space that brings people together. It's something I'm really passionate about. The room fell silent. Forks halted midway to mouths as her family absorbed her revelation. Her heart thudded in her chest. Yet she pressed on. I have a meeting with a potential mentor to help bring it to life. An investor for a cafe? But you've always excelled in other fields, sweetie. You could pursue something more stable, her father countered, concern coloring his tone. The doubt wafted in the air like smoke. Sarah clenched her fingers under the table, feeling the weight of responsibility. She had long been defined by their expectations, but now she was standing on the precipice of her own ambitions. But that's just it. I don't want to follow a path that isn't mine, she replied, the words exploding from her the way a long-held breath might. She held her family's gaze, determination sparking in her eyes. But what if? Her mother began, worry etched in her features. What if I fail? The voice she had willed off before resurfaced. What if I'm making a mistake? But Sarah quelled those self-doubts that had wreaked havoc in her mind. But what if it works? She countered in her thoughts. There are risks, she continued, avoiding the dimming eyes of her parents. But I need to try. I have to believe in this. The atmosphere had shifted. Something like respect was palpable. Yet the tension remained taut. After dinner, Sarah retreated to her childhood room, surrounded by remnants of her past and remnants of the young girl who once dreamed without restraint. The night sky framed by her window beckoned her to embrace the clarity she had experienced yesterday. The uncertainty of familial approval stood as a hurdle, but she uncovered a spark of resilience within. The confrontation with her parents was a step in claiming her narrative, and she felt a rush of empowerment as she drifted to sleep. Thoughts of the café floated in her mind like a documentary playing out. But facing her parents was just the beginning, an act of claiming her own desires in the face of doubt. Would her courage hold against future obstacles, especially in a world so rife with criticism and stray expectations? The answer lay beyond the horizon of her aspirations, tantalizing yet daunting. With the dawn came new resolve, but shadows from the past already whispered warnings. How could she sustain this newfound clarity amid the conflicting voices of family loyalty and personal dreams? The pressing silence weighed heavy as the day ahead presented another chance for revelation and potential windfalls, or perhaps disastrous pitfalls. Sarah awoke to the sound of rain tapping against her window, a reminder of the unpredictable world outside. As she peered out, the droplets fell in rhythm, mirroring the pulse of her nervous heart. Today was the day she would meet with Thomas, the potential mentor who had reached out after hearing about her cafe dreams. Standing in front of the mirror, she studied her reflection, longing to see a confident entrepreneur, yet feeling the weight of uncertainty etching lines across her brow. She dressed carefully, selecting a simple yet elegant outfit that reflected her vision without compromising her identity. With each button she fastened, she felt a flicker of determination. The meeting was more than a potential pathway to funding. It was an opportunity to validate her dream and reshape her narrative. Her mind buzzed with deliberation. It wasn't merely about money, but about mentorship, guidance, and the chance to present herself as a serious player in the culinary world. After a hurried breakfast, she set off to the cafe where they agreed to meet. As she walked through the streets, strategies and scenarios crisscrossed her mind. Would she impress him? What if he dismissed her ideas as naive? The voices of self-doubt whispered furiously, yet they were countered by the fierceness of her aspiration. She had faced her family and declared her intention, and now she had to do the same in this professional arena. Armed with newfound conviction upon entering the cafe, a cozy ambience enveloped her, creating a comforting backdrop for her jitters. She spotted Thomas sitting at a table by the window, exuding an air of easy confidence with his laptop open and a cup of coffee steaming beside him. As she approached, she marveled at how someone so established could be interested in her uncharted venture. He looked up, his eyes sparkling with curiosity, as he rose to greet her warmly. "Sarah, right? It's great to finally meet you," he said, extending his hand. The firm grip reassured her, grounding her in the moment. They settled into conversation about food, community, and dreams, and for a while her nerves subsided as they delved into her concept. She illustrated the cafe as a gathering place, a sanctuary for connection where people could feel at home. Thomas listened intently, but she caught a flicker of skepticism in his eyes. "You have a beautiful vision, but let us talk about the glaring realities of running a cafe," he interjected. "What's your plan for attracting customers and managing costs?" His questions pierced through her romantic notions, confronting her with tangible challenges. A wave of uncertainty swept through her. Would she drown in statistics and budgets? Or could she navigate these waters without losing her essence? As they engaged in a dialogue filled with tough truths and hopeful solutions, Sarah felt fluctuating waves of anxiety and exhilaration. It became clear that while she needed a framework to bring her cafe to life, she also had to remain true to her intent, the heart of what she wanted to create. The tension between practicality and passion charged the air, pushing her to confront not just external expectations, but her inner fears of inadequacy. Every cafe starts with a dream, but dreams need structure and grit to flourish, Thomas emphasized, sensing her hesitance. He leaned back, studying her. Do you have that grit? Can you withstand the storm? Sarah's breath hitched at the implication. This was her moment of truth, not merely about answering his question, but about owning her capacity for resilience. The doubts that clouded her imagination began to dissolve. She realized her journey thus far had already equipped her with a foundational strength. Every challenge had molded her into someone who could withstand storms. I want to believe I do, she said finally, her voice steady. Every step I take toward this cafe is a step against the fear of failure. I know the risks, but I also know that I'll never know unless I try. As Thomas nodded, she sensed a shift. Perhaps this was the validation she'd sought all along. This wasn't just about starting a cafe. It was about facing her fears, about evolving into someone capable of dreaming bigger. She left the cafe with a mixture of excitement and apprehension swirling within her, a sense of purpose fortified by the promise of growth. Engaging with Thomas had forced her to reckon with the dichotomy of her dreams and the practicality required to realize them. How would she find that balance in the days to come? The answers awaited her. Just as the city's skyline held both potential and uncertainty, the thrill of what lay ahead percolated through her veins, igniting a new drive. Yet the real test was still looming. Would she embrace the rigorous work required, or would her old fears reclaim her narrative? The rain had retreated, leaving behind a glistening city drenched in possibility. Sarah stepped out onto the slick pavement, the air fresh and invigorating. There was a tangible change within her, a flicker of ambition ignited by her conversation with Thomas. But as she made her way home, excitement morphed into reflection, and an unsettling awareness settled in the recesses of her mind. What exactly did grit entail? She pondered as she walked. Grit was more than determination. It was the fortitude to execute her plans under pressure, the endurance to persist despite obstacles. She had glimpsed her potential in her meeting with Thomas, but that potential needed to be harnessed, nurtured and propelled into action. Once home, she spread out her feeble attempt at a business plan. Scribbled ideas and half-formed thoughts stared back at her like stubborn specters. Despite the buzz of exhilaration, doubt wormed its way in. What if these ideas weren't enough? What if her passion wasn't backed by substantial strategy? With steady resolve, she picked up a pen and began writing. Each stroke drew her closer to clarity. As she mapped out her vision in precise terms: target audience, unique selling points, marketing strategies. The words flowed as she unraveled the complexities of her dream, transforming them into manageable tasks. After hours of labor, her rough draft was complete. The document had evolved from a mere assortment of aspirations into a structured plan that contained the essence of her cafe. It felt more significant than she had imagined. As she read the final draft, a buzz of confidence surged within her. She was slowly shedding her naivety. Still, there was more to do. She recalled Thomas's lingering skepticism and felt the pressure of validation. What was the next step in this arduous journey? She resolved to seek feedback. Engaging others might weave a net of support that would catch her if she faltered. The next morning, energized by the clarity of her newly formed strategy, Sarah reached out to a few local cafe owners she admired. To her surprise, most responded positively, inviting her for coffee and an exchange of ideas. Each appointment felt like a mini lecture infused with entrepreneurial wisdom, but also an opportunity for Sarah to sharpen her own voice. During one meeting, an owner named Jenna critiqued Sarah's marketing approach. "You need a story," Jenna insisted, her eyes bright with passion. "What makes you unique? It's not just about the coffee. It's about what you stand for." Sarah absorbed her insights. A story. This concept was crucial. Sarah had lived many stories. They were etched into her being. Her journey from a small-town girl to aspiring entrepreneur held layers of meaning. And she realized then, her voice was her greatest asset. With each connection forged, Sarah unearthed more of herself. The fears she had battled became the fabric of her entrepreneurial story. She felt comfort in vulnerability, knowing that sharing her challenges only strengthened her resolve to succeed. Each meeting left her invigorated and determined, but with that determination came the weight of expectation. The day she returned to Thomas, plans in hand and confidence swelling, she felt both exhilarated and terrified. Would he see the growth in her? Would he recognize that her journey was such that she could turn hurdles into stepping stones? As she walked toward the cafe where they had met, the internal conflict surged. Excitement mingled with apprehension. She had come so far. But did she have the courage to lay it all bare before Thomas? Would his feedback encourage her to push further? Or would it be another validation of her inadequacies? Standing at the entrance, Sarah steadied her breath. It was time to put herself on the line, to demonstrate that she was more than just a dreamer. She was a doer. But beneath that newfound confidence loomed uncertainty. What would Thomas really think about the woman she was becoming? As she pushed through the door, the familiar aroma of coffee filled her senses. Today marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where she would confront not only the external expectations of mentors, but also the internal battle of believing in her own worth. Would she emerge victorious or face yet another crushing blow? The cafe buzzed around Sarah, an orchestra of clinking cups and soft chatter harmonizing with her racing heart. As she spotted Thomas in the corner, his familiar figure obscured by a flurry of espresso steam, a rush of adrenaline coursed through her. Today was not merely about sharing her business plan. It was about unveiling the depths of her growth, the essence of the woman she was becoming. "Hey, Thomas," she greeted, forcing a smile despite the clouds of doubt lurking in her mind. He looked up, warm and encouraging, as if he sensed the turmoil behind her composure. "Sarah, you've been busy, huh?" he remarked, gesturing for her to sit. The way he looked at her, with genuine interest, softened her apprehension. "I've been working on my business plan. I think I'm ready to share it," she said, laying the printed pages on the table, as if they were a significant part of her identity. "Let us hear it," he replied, leaning in, his focus unwavering as she spoke, detailing her vision for the cafe and embodying Jenna's advice about storytelling. Sarah felt the walls of her doubt begin to crumble. With every word, she painted a picture not merely of a cafe, but of a community space that celebrated connection and authenticity. The idea of blending her personal narrative, her journey from uncertainty to aspiration into the business model tightened the emotional thread that linked her to her vision. But as she delivered her pitch, a creeping awareness of her fragility settled in. What if Thomas, despite his encouraging demeanor, saw through the passion and only highlighted her inexperience? Could he be the very anchor that weighed her down rather than lift her up? Thomas's brow furrowed slightly as he listened, and for a moment time slowed. He took a breath. "This is quite good, Sarah. You've put a lot of thought into it," he began, and just as rapidly as triumph surged, anxiety flared anew. Was he about to deliver a critique? "You've identified your market and your unique proposition. But I want to challenge you. How will you handle the financial pressures that come with this dream?" His words, though grounded in practicality, sent a tremor through her resolve. She had focused on the emotional journey, the passion that fueled her aspirations. But the reality of her entrepreneurial venture extended far beyond emotional readiness. Was she equipped to tackle the financial intricacies? Panic stirred within her. Did she still have the right to call herself an entrepreneur if she had yet to master this vital aspect? "I am still figuring that out," she stammered, a flush of embarrassment creeping in. "I thought I could seek mentorship or perhaps even partner with someone experienced." As she spoke, her voice wavered, reflecting not just vulnerability but a growing awareness of her limitations. Thomas's gaze softened. "That's part of what being a leader is," he replied. "Acknowledging your limitations and seeking the help you need. But remember, it's equally important to build your own financial literacy. You cannot solely rely on others. You must understand the very foundations your business rests upon." His words resonated deeper than she expected. Sarah realized that the journey she had embarked on would require not just emotional strength, but a proactive approach to learning. The entrepreneurial world was unforgiving, and without a firm grasp on financial principles, she might crumble under pressure. "Maybe I can find a course on business finance," she pondered aloud, her mind racing through the sea of resources she could dive into. The discomfort of her lack of knowledge ignited a new determination within her. She would not be left behind. "That's the spirit," Thomas encouraged. "Remember, every successful entrepreneur has been where you are now. Grit doesn't mean never feeling fear. It means moving forward despite it." As they wrapped up their meeting, the initial uncertainty had not vanished completely, but it was now mingled with rising ambition. Sarah left the cafe invigorated, armed not only with feedback but also insights that pointed toward her next steps. However, her heart raced with the weight of an uncharted territory, A financial landscape that loomed in front of her like a vast ocean yet to be crossed. Would she have the courage to delve into the complexities of numbers and strategies, to embrace the challenge head-on and emerge stronger from it? The moment had come to confront this daunting reality. Sarah's ambition had taken flight, but it was now her responsibility to steer it toward triumph. The stakes were rising, and the world was watching. How far could she push herself beyond these new limits? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: her journey was far from over. And as she began to map out her plan for financial education, a flicker of doubt began to creep in once more. What if she encountered resistance, both externally and from within? Sarah stood in the doorway of her new studio, a space she had designed to reflect her artistic journey. The walls adorned with her portfolio, the scent of coffee brewing, and the soft light filtering through the windows all spoke of fresh beginnings. This was her sanctuary, a culmination of her hard work, from nights spent living in her car to the realization of her dream café. She had faced the risks head-on, embraced uncertainty, and had come out stronger on the other side. Months had passed since her decision to accept Jack's mentorship, and every bit of that journey had transformed her. The balance between grit and grace had taken shape in her world. Her business plan, once a collection of dreams, had morphed into a concrete strategy for the café. A viable business plan she presented to potential investors with increasing confidence. This morning was different. Today, she would meet with Thomas again, this time to discuss a financial proposal. She was ready to tackle the numbers that once intimidated her, armed with the knowledge and skills she had acquired through relentless diligence. She had enrolled in courses, sought advice from financially savvy colleagues, and grown in ways she had never anticipated. As she packed up her documents, a sense of accomplishment washed over her. She had conquered insecurities that had plagued her for years. Facing her family's doubts had been monumental, but it was the moments of forging her own path, accepting setbacks without allowing them to define her, that had truly solidified her growth. Arriving at the café, Thomas welcomed her with a nod. "Excited to see what you've prepared," he said, a spark of intrigue lacing his tone. Sarah launched into her presentation, detailing her café's vision and the financial roadmap she had crafted. As she spoke, the butterflies in her stomach dissipated, replaced by steady conviction. "Wow, you've made substantial progress," Thomas remarked, reviewing her projections. "This is solid, Sarah." The acknowledgement felt like a powerful affirmation, one she had desperately sought. Yet, amidst the validation, she remained grounded, reinforcing the lessons she'd learned about financial responsibility. "I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but I still have room to grow. I recognize that understanding finances is a continuous journey," she replied, confident in her self-awareness. With each piece of feedback, she integrated his insights and expanded her plans. The dialogue felt collaborative, a reflection of mutual respect rather than a hierarchy. They were partners united by a shared vision. After their meeting, Sarah stepped outside, breathing in the fresh air that seemed to hum with possibility. Her phone buzzed with a message from Jack. He congratulated her on her progress and expressed excitement for her future endeavors. She felt gratitude swell within her. He had seen her potential when she could barely glimpse it through the fog of uncertainty. Every setback had become a stepping stone. Every no had fueled her fire. Sarah's journey had not merely been about starting a café, but about reclaiming her identity, standing tall in her convictions, and believing in her worth. The whispers of doubt that once haunted her had silenced as she understood that failure was just part of the learning process. With renewed determination, Sarah began crafting plans for a soft launch event, envisioning the café packed with people enjoying her creations. It was not just an opening. It was a celebration of perseverance, embodying the community she longed to create. Her children laughed and played in the backdrop of her thoughts, their smiles serving as the heartbeat of her aspirations. "Today marks not just the beginning of the café," she whispered to herself, "but the unveiling of the woman I'm meant to be." As she walked toward her studio for the final touches, she found clarity, recognizing that success was not the absence of adversity, but the commitment to rise above it. With solid confidence and the knowledge that her dreams were increasingly within reach, Sarah felt fulfilled, ready to conquer every challenge ahead with grace. Now it's your turn to join this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. Comment below your reactions and predictions about Sarah's next steps. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring conclusion. You need to support this channel as only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand its value.